Modern dance, defined as a free, expressive style of dancing started in the early 20th century as a reaction to classical ballet. In recent years, it has included elements not usually associated with dance, such as speech and film.
Modern dance has changed the way that dance is seen today. It completely revolutionized the way that people danced.
In the years before the 20th century, ballet was the most common form of dance. Ballet was a very strict method of dancing, in which the dancer was restricted in the way that they were allowed to move to fit the style. Ballet was the most acceptable form of dancing for performances. It was very graceful, giving the impression that the dancer was free from gravity or flying. This is why there was such a restriction on the movements the dancer could perform.
Dancers were angry with the lack of movements they were allowed to do in ballet. In reaction to ballet, some dancers began to create other forms of dance in which they had better access to movement of their bodies. In Europe and America, it became fashionable to dance in circles in order to rebel against the strict conditions of ballet, which was the traditional method at the time. Isadora Duncan and Ruth St. Denis started the modern dance movement in Germany in the 1920s. This marked the beginning of the first period of modern dance.
Ruth St. Denis was one of the first people to break away from ballet and create a new way of dancing through modern dance. Along with Isadora Duncan, Ruth St. Denis started the modern dance movement. Her teaching started the first period of modern dance, taking up the first 3 decades of the movement. She eventually created the Denishan School, where she taught dance to the next generation.
Modern dance began to flourish in places that lacked a strong ballet tradition. Unlike ballet choreographers, modern dance choreographers make their own language with their dance, creating their own moves. Also, modern dance choreographers often performed in the dances they created. Dance involves heavy reliance on posture and the movement of all parts of the body, but modern dance tends to take account for the weight of the body, whereas ballet tries to make the dancer appear weightless.
Martha Graham was perhaps one of the most revolutionary choreographers when it comes to modern dance. Martha Graham's impact on modern dance is often compared to Picasso's impact on painting, Stravinsky's on music, and Frank Lloyd Wright's on architecture. Graham was born in 1894 and grew up on the West Coast. Martha Graham's father was a doctor who specialized in diagnosing nervous disorders through physical movement, which may have led to her interest in how the body moves. Martha Graham grew up to form the Martha Graham Dance Company, which is currently one of the oldest dance companies in America.
Martha Graham worked mainly with Ruth St. Denis's husband, Ted Shawn, during her early years to perfect her technique. Graham wanted her dance to be fraught with inner meaning, with excitement and surge, instead of just being beautiful or fluid. In Zoidal, a dance made specifically for her by Shawn, Graham danced the role of an attacked Aztec maiden. It was the wildly emotional performance of this role that garnered her first critical acclaim. After she started gaining recognition, Graham was able to design and choreograph her own dances at the Greenwich Village Follies. The idea that the body was able to express the inner senses was pivotal to Graham's theory and inspired generations of dancers to come.
The second period of modern dance began around 1930. This period is marked with dancers like José Limón, who created new styles of dance thanks to the lack of restrictions as in ballet. Limón created a style of dance that differed from the other dancers that modern choreographers had created. The third period of modern dance started around 1945 after the end of World War II. This period was marked by dancer and choreographer Alvin Ailey.
One of the more recent and influential modern dance choreographers was Alvin Ailey. Born on January 5, 1931 into a poor family, Ailey grew up to form the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, which became one of the top modern dance studios ever and is still performing today. He is credited with popularizing modern dance and revolutionizing African American participation in the 20th century concert dance, creating 79 works for himself and his dancers, not counting the many works he created for other companies. He approached his dancers more in the manner of a jazz conductor, requiring them to infuse his choreography with a personal style that best suited their individual talents. Ailey did not have a specific technique he would make his dancers use, but instead created a style by combining many different techniques to suit the theatrical moment.
Alvin Ailey is known for his influence on African American participation in modern dance. He popularized modern dance among all people, especially African Americans. When it came to concert dance in the first two periods of modern dance, there was less concert dance participation among African Americans, but Alvin Ailey changed all of that. His company, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, was a diverse group of modern dancers that performed concert dances. Ailey's influence on African American participation came after World War II during a time when there was still segregation among African Americans and white Americans.
Donald McHale, a close friend of Alvin Ailey, was a teacher of Kirsten Barron Kinney, who is now a dance teacher at the Gotta Dance studio.
I started teaching dance. That was probably my first job, and I started when I was about 14, and that is still what I do.
An important part of modern dance is the stories behind the dance itself. Modern dance relies heavily on the body to tell a story through different movements and actions. Costumes are used, and the dancer uses the entire stage to show events or tell fables.
Sometimes you come up with, a lot of times I use thematic material, in that I come up with very specific way of moving for that dance, and then it sort of peppers the dance, like a little bit here and there, and you may see it in different ways, but it's maybe speaking to something about a story. I also sometimes think in terms of staging, so I might start the dancers more upstage and back, and then by the end of the dance they've moved downstage, and which is forward, and so it looks like they've traveled or gone somewhere. And sometimes when I'm telling a story that's a glimpse in, I will start it and end it similarly so that they move out of it and then back into the same thing like we're glimpsing in.
Modern dance has allowed dance choreographers to create new art with their dances. Dance is a form of art, and dance teachers have been allowed to create new kinds of art by using the movements and range allowed by modern dance. This has allowed new art forms to branch out from dance and creates new ways to express creativity.
I like to think in terms of a lot of imagery and symbolism. I think it's made me feel like an artist and not just a dancer, not just a choreographer, but that it's art that I'm putting out there.
All in all, modern dance has shaped the way that people dance today. Dance has evolved from the beautiful, fluid movements of ballet to the dances of the modern age, where the dances take into account the weight of the dancers and relies heavily on the posture and movements of all parts of the body. People such as Ruth St. Denis, Martha Graham, and Alvin Ailey have all shaped our current viewpoint on the art form that is dance.